It's a sign of the times, a locked gate at a closed American factory. People used to enter this gate to work at good-paying jobs. The parking lot is empty now. The cars of the office staff and line workers are gone, like millions of American jobs and careers. Every day, more and more of our jobs are moving offshore, many of them to China. Like most things of historic significance, the deindustrialization of the United States is happening over time. It may sound alarmist, but it's true. We are losing our industrial base. It's the underpinning of our economy and our way of life. Since 1979, 17 million U.S. manufacturing jobs have disappeared. The service jobs are disappearing too. By 2015, over 3 million U.S. white-collar service jobs will have moved offshore. As a result, America's middle class is quietly vanishing. In manufacturing centers like Detroit, home foreclosures are skyrocketing. People are losing the American way of life. For those who still have jobs, a place to live, and a future, life goes on. Americans who have been untouched by globalization are unaware of the erosion of the quality of American life that is happening all around them. Our ports are busy around the clock, offloading shipping containers with things made elsewhere. The foreign-made goods and containers on a railroad siding at the Port of Los Angeles tell the story. Our trade deficit, meaning we are buying more than we're selling, is nearly $764 billion. Our trade deficit with China alone tops $232 billion. We've developed such a voracious appetite for things made elsewhere that our ports can't keep up. So China and other competitor nations have plans to vastly increase exports to America by land. NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement that Ross Perot warned about in the 1990s, will soon transform Mexico into a massive transit corridor for goods coming across the Pacific. It's no accident that Pacific Rim is the name of the dominant international trade office park on the San Diego-Tijuana border. There are efforts underway to create a NAFTA superhighway, a corridor of freeways and rail lines from ports on the Mexican Pacific coast to a so-called inland port in Kansas City to speed up our flow of imports. Eventually, the NAFTA superhighway will stretch to our border with Canada and join other North American trade corridors on the east and west coasts. A 70-page study in 2005 by the Council on Foreign Relations shows there's serious talk of blurring America's borders entirely by creating a North American community along the lines of the European Union. A Chinese company is upgrading the port on the Mexican Pacific coast. China's Hutchison Whampoa, the largest port operator in the world, controls both ends of the Panama Canal. It operates the world's largest cargo container port in the Bahamas, 50 miles off the Florida coast. They control the largest ports in England and the Netherlands. Hutchison Whampoa also runs port operations in Spain, Egypt, Saudi Arabia and Oman, and Africa's Tanzania, among others. Hutchison Whampoa has port operations in 6 of the 8 world ocean transit points the Defense Department labels as U.S. lifelines. China also is developing aircraft carrier capability as part of a strategy to create what's called a Blue Water Navy. The question is, why does China need a navy capable of projecting force on the high seas? The world's only other major sea power is the United States. In the U.S., meanwhile, our shipbuilding capacity is dwindling along with our defense industrial base. Increasingly, the small parts and sub-assemblies of our fighting machinery are made elsewhere. The Pentagon doesn't know how much foreign content is in our advanced military equipment. No one has ever done an inventory. America's crown jewels of science and technology can be found at our top universities. We, the taxpayers, pay tens of millions of dollars in federal research grants to these universities. We do it so the universities will keep us at the forefront of progress. So why are U.S. universities so eager to share taxpayer-funded research with Chinese universities? How can they possibly keep secret all the things that need to be kept secret in a competitive world? Why are U.S. universities so eager to help foreign students who clearly intend to compete with our children and grandchildren? When U.S.-educated Chinese students go home, they must work in a communist dictatorship that ignores human rights and the rules of fair trade in the global economy. Chinese workers are often paid slave labor wages to work 7 days a week in unsafe plants. A third of China drinks polluted water and breathes badly polluted air. Torture is inflicted on those who oppose the Chinese communist dictatorship, including religious believers such as Tibetan Buddhists and the Falun Gong. This satellite photo shows the so-called Asian brown cloud. Most of it is pollution from Chinese factories, which realize huge cost advantages over U.S. competitors by ignoring environmental protection. China also manipulates its currency in relation to the U.S. dollar to artificially maintain low prices for their exports. Through piracy, Hollywood has become a victim of international trade too. In 1 year, the movie industry lost over $6 billion to piracy, mostly in Asia and Russia. We cannot, we must not, become isolationist in the global economy. Yet, we cannot maintain the American standard of living unless free trade is fair trade. It's urgent that we search for answers, debate the options, and demand leadership in Washington. There was a time when all Americans stepped up, sacrificed, and did their part to save this country in a time of peril. We need to do it again before it's too late.